Hi and welcome to another episode of Toby's Barbecue Corner. It's time to bring out the big toys. We're making sausages. Now what you need for it and how to do it, I'm going to show you in this episode. And this is what we need for today. Now obviously we need a little bit of meat, so we have some pork necks and a pork belly. You need your favorite sausage seasoning, you need some salt, as well as the lining for the sausage. Now in the first step, I've taken out the linings from the package, I've rinsed off the salt that they were in, and now we're just going to give them into lukewarm water and let them hydrate for at least half an hour. So that's really perfect to do it as a first step, because we're going to take the skin off now, the pork belly, and so they have ample time to rehydrate. As I said, we're going to take the skin off this lovely pork belly. What I've done already is I've already checked, so there's no further bones or cartilage or anything on the inside of it. So it's all lovely, because obviously you don't want to have that in your sausage when you eat it later on. Plus it's not really good for your cutter. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take one side here and trying to take off that skin with as little fat or meat on it as possible. Now afterwards you can really decide what you want to do. You can either keep it and make pork crackling out of it, or chips, or whatever you want to do, or you can just bin it. It's really entirely up to you. So I'm going to finish this off and then I'll see you for the next step. All done, and I think I did okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take that pork belly and we're going to cut it into anywhere between 1 and 1.5 centimeter thick cubes. You know, obviously the smaller you cut it, the easier it is for the machine later on, to mince it. And obviously the more flavor, once we season it, will go on the meat immediately as well. So we're just going to cut that up. And then we're going to put it in one of those consist forms, and obviously make sure later on when we cut up our pork necks that we cut them in equal sizes as well. Mix everything accordingly, just to make sure, obviously that we have a good ratio of the two different types of meats. Right, the pork belly is done. We're going to do the same thing with the pork necks. Of course, I've washed them, made sure that there are no bone remnants anywhere. You really have to be careful on that, guys, because if you have that in your sausage or anywhere in your food, it is really uncomfortable. So again, we're going to cut it as small as possible. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put it either in the fridge, or if the temperature outside is right, leave the meat outside for about half an hour, 45 minutes, because obviously the colder it is, the easier it is for the cutting machine to cut it into, the sausage, not dough, but the sausage material then that you're looking for. All the meat is cut up and it's now cooling down again, because I said it's easier for the machine than to mince it. And now we're going to take care of the seasoning. Now for this particular seasoning you need about 25 grams of the seasoning mix per kg of meat. We have 9.5 kgs of meat, so that's roughly 240 grams of the mix. And obviously we're going to measure that with our kitchen scale. And obviously it's good, if you make sure you're right on the spot, simply because you don't want to over season or under season your meat. And obviously later on we have to make sure that it's evenly spread out throughout the meat. So we're getting there. This is 213, 222, 238, 240. There we go. And now the same thing with our salt. So 17 grams per kg. So we're coming up to 161 grams. Let's see, I probably have to use a second package for that because it won't have 161 grams left. So I'm glad I picked up another one. So I guess mise en place is everything. $120, $30, $140, $50, and $161. There we go. Alright, obviously you want to use fine salt, you know, obviously the other ingredients are fairly fine as well. You can use coarse salt, but I recommend this because it just mixes nicer with the meat, and obviously you don't want to bite on anything large in there that might have a sharp edge. Right, this is the first portion, so we're going to use half of the seasoning mix as well as half of the salt. And then we're going to mince that straight away. The other part is still outside, staying nice and cool until it's ready to be used as well. There we go. And now give that a good mix. Make sure the seasoning is everywhere. And it's already starting to look lovely and smell lovely as well. The meat is nice and cool. It had a little bit of time to get to know the flavor, so to speak. So what we're going to do now is, obviously, it is quite a bit of meat. We're going to put some on the top here. And we're going to create some space to make sure that the minced meat has some space to fall into this tray. And obviously we want to make sure that we get all these lovely seasonings into our meat. Now, without much further ado, let's turn it on and we're going to mince it. All the meat has been minced once. Now what I like to do is I like to mince it again, simply because I find that the texture, it just becomes a little nicer rather than this coarse thing, and obviously all the ingredients mix a little nicer together. So we're going to do this one more time with the same diameter of the cutting disc. That is 4 millimeters. Yeah, and then it will look like this, and we can put it into the casing. Quite a while later, we're done, and doesn't that look fantastic? So now that's gonna go back outside. We're gonna leave it in the cold, and in the meantime we're going to take care of the casing, and by that time this should have a wonderful temperature. Now that the meat is cooling again, let's take care of the casing. So obviously they've been soaking for a lot longer than half an hour, but you can soak them for up to 24 hours, they will just get softer. Obviously, you need to find the beginning somewhere, and then liquid or water is really your best friend. So when you want to put it on, make sure this is nicely lubricated, and then you try to find the opening. There we go. and you put it over. And as I said, this is quite difficult at times, but make sure you do this properly because you don't want it to tear later on. There we go. Make sure that it's not tangled up, and nice enough, they send you this with, yeah, kind of like a hook, so to speak, to show you where the casings start. I've had others where it's basically just a bundle, so very difficult, but this time around it should be a lot easier. Right, the first of the three casings is on. It took roughly 4 minutes, so it was actually rather quick. And now I'm going to go get the meat and I'm going to show you how to fill this machine. Right, let me show you how to fill the sausage machine. So what you want to do is you want to, the piston that pushes the meat in, you want to remove it all the way, and then you can pull this backwards and actually take it out. So obviously make sure you don't touch anywhere with the casing. And then what you want to do is you want to grab a good bit of meat and kind of like form it into a ball and make sure that it's nice and tight on the bottom. So you don't want any additional air to be in there. And then all the other meat just gets stacked on top, and really make sure that it's nice and tight, because you don't want any air in your sausage, you only want to have the meat. And once you've sufficiently stuffed it with meat, we're going to put it back inside. Just like that. And then we can start making our sausages. Now in order to stuff our sausages, you've probably noticed I've left it a bit open here. Simply because obviously there's a lot of air trapped now in here. So what you want to do is you want to start pushing the meat into the tube. And if this is too hard, then you can use the second gear, so to speak. It has a lot more flexibility, and as you can see, it's already coming out. So absolutely fantastic. Don't worry, it's not lost. We're just going to put it to the side. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the casing and create a nice little knot. And then we can start stuffing. Right, and this is our first sausage done, and I'm now going to repeat the process. Alright guys, all the sausage making is done. I had a little help from my son, so that was very nice. You know, obviously the machine is easier to use when you have 4 hands rather than 2. And just to show you, so obviously there's a little bit of lining left over. Now you can throw it away, but what a waste of money. Now the easiest way to do this is you take it out of the water, you dab it dry a little bit, you put a lot of salt on it, So you really salt the living daylight out of it. And then you put it in a Ziploc bag and you can put it in the freezer. So you have some casing left over for the next time you want to make a few sausages. And this is the fruit of the labor, and look how gorgeous they look. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them into those individual sausages, and I can show you that in a second. And then I'm going to show you a final picture on how many sausages we actually made today. In order to portion our sausages in, you know, those ones that that ones that fit in a hot dog as well. So you just select the sausage that you want. You select the size you want. So I'm going for about, I don't know, maybe like 10, 12 centimeters. You press down here on one side and then you start to turn just a few times. And that's pretty much all you need to do. So you move on, and with the next part of the sausage, just be careful that you don't bust it. Obviously that might happen, but you just have to twist it the other way around. So, and then you can also just, you know, move it around like this, and that basically closes up the sausage for you. And then we'll just do it over and over and over again until we're done. And there you go, guys. 88 lovely homemade sausages. I mean, it's obviously always good to make in bulk because, you know, we're going to vacuum pack most of them, put them in the freezer. Might eat some tonight. But yeah, I am quite excited. I'm super happy how they came out. Yeah, and I'll let you know how they tasted. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video about the homemade sausages. Now, funnily enough, exactly 200 videos ago, this was my very first video. I did it in German. I did it with a GoPro. The quality wasn't all that great, so I hope the quality is better this time. Anyways, so this is my 200th video anniversary, and I have to say I'm quite proud of that. And I hope you can celebrate with me a little bit. Now, if you did enjoy the video, I would appreciate a comment and a thumbs up. Please head over to that subscribe button for more great videos to come, and I hope to see you soon again at Toby's Barbecue Corner.